Well, some breaking news to tell you about. Little Rock police and fire officials are responding to a bank robbery this morning where the robber was believed to have left behind an explosive device. The U.S. Bank was robbed earlier this morning at 5200 Kavanaugh in the Heights. Our Stephanie Simone has been on the scene for about an hour now. They were told to move back a little bit because they were expected to blow up whatever that device was. So she joins us now over the phone to fill us in on what's going on. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Beth. Yeah, we were told to take cover because they took an X-ray of the backpack that the bank robbers said that there was a bomb in it, according to police, and they saw wires. And so they don't know if it is, in fact, a bomb. Little Rock spokesperson, Lieutenant Terry Hastings, he says they do believe it is one. So the Little Rock Fire Department at this point, they're going to blow water on it, from what I understand, and this is procedure apparently when it comes to these type of situations.
And Stephanie, just to give people perspective of where this is, the U.S. Bank at 5200 Kavanaugh, some businesses in that area, Scallions, which is a restaurant, Molly's Papery, there's a drugstore that we can see there as well. But I'm wondering, where is the actual device right now that they are saying they are going to spray this water on?
Well, I'm exactly not sure. Are you listening to that? Can you hear that?
We can hear that, yeah. Yeah, we heard some sort of explosion, some sort of pop.
There was definitely something there, definitely a pop there. They said fire in the hole, and I definitely heard a pop. That's why they told us to move back. This is the exact situation. This is why we were told to be careful here. You heard them say fire in the hole, and then you heard that pop. Of course, I don't know exactly what the pop was, but they were blasting water at that backpack. More police officers are starting to actually move in, so it makes me believe that possibly it's a little bit more secure at this point. More detectives are moving in the scene to try and decipher exactly what just happened. I mean, you heard them say fire in the hole, and then you heard that pop.
A wildfire is burning near the Yell County-Perry County line, forcing more than 1,000 people to evacuate. Good evening, and thanks for being with us. I'm Beth Hunt. Christina Munoz is on assignment.
And I'm Scott Inman. Authorities are going door to door tonight, warning residents in Ola and Berta that they need to leave. Channel 7's Justin Lewis has been on the scene for more than an hour and a half tonight, and he is live with the latest. Justin, what can you tell us?
Well, Scott, in that about an hour and a half we've been there, this thing has gotten very serious. This fire continues to spread. The last update I had was well over 300 acres on fire. I think it's safe to say it's actually spreading more. We're on Highway 10, as you can see down there, kind of through the smoke. This is where many fire officials and local authorities are trying to stop this thing. It was just minutes ago as we stood here and watched flames pretty much roll over this highway like a bowling ball. They came through very quick, very fast. We were there for a few minutes trying to set up this live shot you're watching, and they told us we had to get out. There were residents down there with us. They said if you're not with the fire crews, you've got to get out, and they were exactly right. I'm glad we moved about a half a mile down the road, and since we've been here, we're hearing loud cracks, loud pops, loud booms. There are homes in this area, lots of timber. A local resident also told me there's that fireworks storage place we were mentioning earlier that could have been set on fire there, as we heard some of the cracks and booms. Still trying to confirm if there has been any structure damage. So we'll continue to get you updates and have more tonight on Channel 7 Nightside. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, just some incredible video there. Justin, stay safe, and we'll check with you at 10 o'clock. Thanks very much.
State police are combing the woods right now for a convicted killer who escaped from an Arkansas prison this afternoon. Good evening, and thanks for watching. I'm Beth Hunt.
And I'm Scott Inman. The Department of Correction has a helicopter in the air right now and tracking dogs on the ground looking for 33-year-old Curtis Reese Jr. They have set up a perimeter between the jail and England. Reese, we're told, was serving a 45-year sentence at the Tucker unit for a 1998 first-degree murder conviction from Saline County. He escaped with another inmate, James Ryan. Authorities say the two may have left the prison in a water tank, which was atop an 18-wheeler, and then apparently they jumped off. Now, Ryan has been caught, but police are still looking for Reese. Our Matt Johnson is on his way to Jefferson County right now, and we'll have more information when it becomes available. We do want to return now to our top story, where the search for a convicted murderer, 33-year-old Curtis Reese Jr., is ongoing right now. He escaped the Tucker units.
State police have had helicopters in the air, also ground crews searching for this inmate. Our Matt Johnson joins us now live from Jefferson County with the very latest. Matt, what can you tell us?
Hi, Beth. We're on Highway 15 South right now, and every car that comes through here is getting searched, whether it's through the back seat or in the trunks, and that's just part of the ground search. There are some dogs that have been released into the field. There are some horses that officials are out here looking for this convicted killer with, and through the air, the state police have helped out, and there's a helicopter that's circling the grounds here. Right now, this is an ideal place for a man to be on the loose. This is a very rural area, and there's a lot of barns, there's a lot of small houses. So right now, crews are really working against the clock as long as they have this daylight on their side. But Curtis Reese is a convicted murderer, and he's believed to have escaped just a few miles from here in the isolated community of Ferda. And it's not clear, officials are not clear how he was able to jump on that 18-wheeler and escape. Right now, they're still trying to investigate what exactly happened while trying to find this man and while they still have some sunlight. So right now, the search has been going on since about 1:30 p.m. Right now, we have no idea kind of where he is, but that's kind of why this perimeter is so long. It's all the way from really the prison in Tucker all the way through England. There's a roadblock, but if you are able to get through, you're going to have your car searched, and that's just a precaution that people are taking here. They're asking them if you're alone or if you have anybody in the trunk, because this man is considered to be dangerous. It's not clear if he has any help on the outside, but right now they're really trying to wrap up this investigation before nightfall comes in, and we'll continue to follow this, of course. Beth, back to you.
Okay, we'll have more, of course, tonight at 6 o'clock. Matt Johnson reporting live in Jefferson County. Thank you.
An escaped killer is still on the run in Jefferson County, eluding authorities now for more than 9 hours. We thank you for watching tonight. I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. 33-year-old Curtis Reese escaped from the Tucker unit about 1:30 today. We are told he leaped from a moving vehicle. Channel 7's Matt Johnson has been following this story all day long and is live in Tucker with the latest on the manhunt. Matt.
Hi, Scott. Well, this search has not let up, and their helicopter's still in the air right now, well into the night, using infrared technology to try to track him down, even in the dark. Now, they've gotten a few leads today, but nothing yet has turned up the man they want back in prison. A massive search through the air and Jefferson County fields has yet to turn up an escaped convicted murderer.
As long as we believe he's in this area and that he might be found here, we will be here searching for him. And that will be, if that's into the night, that's into the night.
More than 100 officers have been on the hunt.
Y'all got something in there we need to know about?
For 33-year-old Curtis Reese, who escaped from the Tucker unit at 1:30 today. Reese was convicted in 1998 as a teenager for first-degree murder. Another inmate jumped with Reese from a moving 18-wheeler, but was found earlier between England and Tucker.
It's possible that Reese is injured as well and hiding somewhere. We're just not real sure right now.
An abandoned camper and an abandoned truck with supplies have turned up, but the dark and the open fields are at law enforcement's disadvantage.
Some of that type of terrain is challenging, but we do have tracking dogs, and we have officers on horseback, so that will help us.
Be very careful. Yes, sir.
Nearby communities are on alert as authorities continue the search.
Making sure you didn't have any unwanted passing. Okay.
For a killer who could be anywhere. You know. Now, I talked with a lot of residents nearby who are really on edge tonight. They're going to be locking their doors to make sure that they're locked and also keeping their guns close by as this man is still on the loose. Back to you guys.
Matt, you mentioned that truck with supplies in it. Boy, that certainly raises some red flags. Is it possible that that could have been left there for them? Could they have had outside help?
That's definitely a working theory. They called it very suspicious that a truck full of some clothes and some supplies would be left right near the area where these two men escaped. But it's just a theory for now. They're working on it, but that was a big lead that turned up, and they're looking into that, Scott.
All right, Matt Johnson live tonight in Jefferson County. Thanks very much.
The search for an escaped murderer is growing as Curtis Reese, now on the loose for nearly 30 hours. Thanks for watching tonight. I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. Reese escaped from the Tucker unit yesterday, and authorities have few clues as to where he could be. Channel 7's Matt Johnson is live outside the prison with the latest on the search. Matt.
Hi, Scott. Well, manpower has tripled since yesterday, but still that hasn't produced any significant clues as to where Curtis Reese could be. Well over 300 authorities have joined the manhunt for a 33-year-old convicted killer, Curtis Reese, since his escape from the Tucker unit yesterday. What was mostly a Jefferson County search has spread. Search dogs and officers are now scouring through eastern Lono County, and officers still inspect vehicles.
Finding him and getting him back in prison is our top priority right now.
Reports of a man running through a field in Allport rerouted the search this morning. Meanwhile, word about the search is spreading quickly in the Tucker community.
Then they said he was a murderer. I said, oh my God, a murderer. I said, wow, they need to really catch him.
Rural terrain, open fields, and plenty potential hiding spots may have helped Reese stay hidden for almost 28 hours now.
We don't really have any reason to believe that he's gone from the area, but we're also keeping in mind, it's very obvious he could have been picked up.
Folks in Tucker and nearby communities say they have no choice but to stay on guard until Reese is actually back where he belongs.
Really don't know what this man have on his mind. You really don't. If he killed one time, he might kill again.
Yeah, and that's a sense of how worried a lot of people in the community are. They worry that he may have armed himself while he's been out, but officials just don't know at this point. But they do say that he is dangerous, and if you see him, call police. Back to you guys.
Matt, since we're 30 hours in now, give us a scope of how big this search is. How many other agencies are helping out?
Sure. Every major agency in the area is helping out. Game and Fish, state police, local law enforcement. This is really top priority for the Department of Correction, and they've gotten a lot of help from local law enforcement who want this guy back behind bars. Scott.
Time, of course, of the essence. Matt Johnson live tonight. Thanks very much.
The search for Curtis Reese has yet to turn up the escaped convict as authorities question whether he's still in the area. Thank you for watching. Tonight at 6, I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. It has been 3 days since his escape from the Tucker unit, and crews are still focusing on the area between Tucker and England. Channel 7's Matt Johnson is outside the prison tonight with whether they plan to expand the perimeter. What do we know, Matt?
Hi, Scott. Well, right now, crews are operating like Reese is still here in Arkansas, but that could change tomorrow if this goes into day 4. But officials admit that the possibilities as to where he could be grow every day. The cars keep rolling in. So do the new tools to catch the most wanted man in Arkansas. And after 3 days of searching for Curtis Reese since his escape from the Tucker unit, authorities will take any new clue they can get.
Anything that he might have had that could lead us to him, anything he might have dropped. We're just looking for anything, really.
Today, the search is back in Ferda, where the now 300 authorities on the search got their first clue.
That thermal top that was found that first night, it was found in this general area. So we're doing a more thorough search of this stretch of road here.
They're trimming grass to maybe find something Reese could have dropped, but mainly they're hoping to catch a break.
He could be around. We don't know, and that's why we're really still focusing on this area, trying to pretty much literally leave no stone unturned. I mean, these guys are out here, you know, kicking rocks and combing back grass.
It's a search no one expected to last this long, and authorities say they'll need the public's help in bringing it to an end.
The public is staying engaged, and they're watchful, and they're keeping an eye out and helping us, and we appreciate it.
Now, even as the sun starts to come down, crews still work into the night, and just talking around town, a lot of people don't even think that Reese is still here, but still a lot of them really on edge tonight until they find him. And we're going to continue to follow this story, bring you the latest until we find out. Scott?
Now, Matt, we know that the length of this search is certainly unusual, but how unusual or rare is it for someone to escape from Tucker?
Well, it's been 6 years since someone last escaped the Tucker unit here behind me, and nothing has ever been as elaborate as this, involving jumping from an 18-wheeler. So right now they're going to be reviewing their policies to make sure this doesn't happen again, and they want to make sure that they find him and bring him back here. Scott?
Absolutely. Matt Johnson live in Jefferson County for us tonight. Thanks.
Curtis Reese was found behind that tree line in a 200-foot drop-off, hiding inside of a cave. Now, this was about 10:30, and ever since he escaped on Monday, this has been a very large amount of resources devoted to this search, and state police was here to help out, SWAT team, Department of Correction, and they're able to get him into custody, headed back to the Tucker unit today. Now, he's been missing since Monday. He escaped off of a moving 18-wheeler with another inmate, but that other inmate was captured the same day. But ever since then, there's been speculation of whether he was still in the immediate area of the prison where they were searching yesterday, but it turns out he was 85 miles north around this area where he was captured today. It's unclear what he was doing here. We're still trying to figure out what his motivation was to come all the way out here, but we do know that he is in custody. Department of Correction is obviously very happy to have this convicted killer back in their custody, and we're going to continue to follow this story, bringing the very latest today at 5 and 6 o'clock. Beth, back to you guys.
Well, Matt, can you talk about this area in relation to the prison? I mean, it's a good distance away from Tucker, and maybe his condition as they captured him this morning.
Sure. Details are still coming out about his condition, but this is a very rural area. We heard that authorities got a tip this morning that he could be in the area, and that's what drove him out here. But this is extremely rural, even more rural than the area surrounding the Tucker unit, that authorities were very concerned that he could be hiding around there. But right now, we're still trying to find out what he was doing out here and what he looked like, but I'm sure more information will come out throughout the day, Beth.
Okay, and I know authorities have taken him now. Did they give you any indication? Are they taking him immediately back to Tucker? What will happen now?
That was the immediate response we got. He's heading back to the Tucker unit. It's unclear where he's going to be taken from there, but obviously he's not in the good graces of authorities right now. They just want to get him back, and they're still trying to figure out really how he was able to escape. So I'm sure they're going to be finding out how he was able to elude authorities and then try to tighten up their security measures there at the Tucker unit to make sure this doesn't happen again, Beth.
Questioning at one time whether he had any outside help, and we were just hearing about that yesterday. So hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about how they think all of this happened in the coming hours and the coming days. Matt Johnson reporting live, though, in Cleburne County for us today. Thank you. Again, just to recap, 33-year-old Curtis Reese Jr. He was convicted of murder back in 1998, and he was captured early this morning. Well, actually around 10:30 this morning, so it was mid-morning in that wooded area north of Pangburn. Pangburn actually in White County, but he was found a couple of miles northwest of there in Cleburne County. And again, he is back in the hands of authorities after escaping from the Tucker prison on Monday.
Two people trained to read sign language claim they were beaten out for a job by a candidate who is not qualified. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Christina Munoz. A recent hire by the state of Arkansas is being looked at by 7 on Your Side's Jason Peterson. The job pays about $35,000 a year and is essential to those who need it. Isn't that right, Jason?
Well, exactly. Arkansas Rehabilitation Services helps disabled people get jobs, but it is one of their own hires that is now cause for concern. If you're deaf and job hunting, you will probably need an interpreter to help you communicate with potential employers. Arkansas Rehabilitation Services can provide that interpreter. But 2 applicants for a recent interpreter job fear that the candidate who got the job can't do the job.
It upset me because we've worked so hard to be considered professionals. What we do to get certification is expensive. And I sit on the screening committee for Arkansas screening interpreters to work in the state. And she doesn't even have that screening, which is below our national certification.
If, because she can't do the job, she sits there, they have to hire someone else to do it, it's double tax dollars being spent.
Records obtained through the Freedom of Information Act show that of the 9 candidates considered for the job, the woman ultimately hired had the second lowest test score. Her interviewer, David McDonald, noted that she has no certifications. And after watching a short signing video, the candidate who would get the job did not understand the English or American Sign Language.
It was like a 4-minute video, and it was a very basic video. There wasn't anything difficult in it at all.
Chief of Field Services Carl Dougherty made the call on who to hire, and his supervisor, Robert Trevino, approved that pick. A spokesperson for the Department of Career Education says the candidate has been on the job now for several months and is meeting all expectations. Tomorrow night, West and Thomas will share why they believe they never had a real shot at getting this job.
Jason Peterson live for us tonight. Thank you. 2 candidates passed over for a state job claim the old adage, it's not what you know, but who you know, is alive and well in Arkansas. Good evening and thank you for watching tonight. I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. The viewer messages posted online following last night's 7 on Your Side report have been passionate and one-sided. All are concerned about a recent hire made by Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. Jason Peterson is looking into that hire, and he joins us now to tell us what he has found. Jason.
Well, Scott, this may surprise you, but to work for the state as a sign language interpreter, you need only a bachelor's degree in special education, social work, or a related field. Having a degree as an interpreter is preferred, but not necessary. In January, Arkansas Rehabilitation Services hired a sign language interpreter with no certifications, the second worst test score of 9 applicants, and who was unable to watch a sign language video and translate the hand movements into English. Those passed over say the hire has the potential to harm the deaf community.
It's very personal to me. My father was in town visiting and ended up in the hospital. Had she been the interpreter, I don't know what could have happened to him because she can't interpret.
As interpreters, we have a code of ethics we should follow, and one of those ethics is you do not take a job you're not qualified to do.
The woman who got the job is certified as a funeral director. Her resume states that she has worked with Premier Funeral Home for the past decade. Premier Funeral Home is owned by Bill Walker. Walker, a former state senator, was appointed by Governor Beebe to serve as director of the Department of Career Education. Walker directly supervises Robert Trevino, the man who ultimately approved the hire in question.
Why is she the one that's in that position? I don't see a professional reason for it.
So you think it was not what she knew, but who she knew?
I do.
I suspect it was a friend of a friend type deal. And again, I've got no problem with that if the person is qualified to do the job.
Now, we visited with Director Walker by phone today. He says he had nothing to do with this hire, that he trusts his managers, in this case Robert Trevino and Carl Dougherty, to evaluate all candidates and make the right decision. Walker says there have been no complaints about the new hire and that she is meeting all job expectations.
Thanks for the follow-up. Jason Peterson live in our studio tonight. 7 other candidates tested better. 6 others were certified, but the state hired her anyway. And now the hiring of a sign language interpreter is being questioned by lawmakers. Good evening and thanks for watching tonight. I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Christina Munoz. The legislature's Personnel Committee heard from a state agency director and 2 qualified candidates who were passed over for this job. 7 on Your Side's Jason Peterson first told you about this hire last month. And Jason, are we any closer to answering the main question? Can she do this job?
You know what? Not really at this point. The woman who was hired to do this job did not attend the meeting, and whether she is qualified to do the job really depends on who you ask. Could a recent hire by the state have interpreted for a gallery full of concerned deaf citizens the way these interpreters did Tuesday afternoon? State Workforce Director Bill Walker told a committee of legislators the answer to that question is yes. Despite lacking the certification that other applicants had, Walker told committee members that the woman hired as a deaf family member, has signed for members of her church for the past 10 years, and has been a loyal state employee for more than 20 years. But the deaf community is not pleased with the pick.
The deaf community is not very happy. It is an insult to both the deaf community and the professional interpreting community. We expected the agencies to follow high standards in their hires of interpreters.
If she could sign what was going on here today, why does she need to enroll in a class on signing at ULR?
She's pursuing the class for the purposes of seeking national certification. So that is a process that you go through for the national certification.
The state is paying for its recent hire to gain certification when 6 candidates with certifications in sign language interpreting were passed over, including 2 who testified before the committee.
This doesn't pass the smell test. I mean, we've hired somebody that's not qualified to do that couldn't pass the minimum test, and that's my opinion. So now we're going to talk about how to go forward from this.
And what the committee voted to do going forward is ask the Department of Finance and Administration to take a closer look at this hire.
Something we'll continue to follow. Now, wouldn't it have been easiest to have the employees show up at this hearing and do some interpreting for them?
Yeah, I think so, but that didn't happen. I do know that during her first 6 months on the job, she did not go out by herself and serve as an interpreter for any ARS clients.
All right, you'll have to let us know what happens. Jason Peterson live for us tonight. Thank you.
Opponents of a controversial state hire get a private audience with those who made the hire. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. Tonight at 6, I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Christina Munoz. To serve as a sign language interpreter, you really need to know sign language well. Well, some are convinced a woman hired by the state as an interpreter is not up to the task. Jason Peterson was there as they arrived for this special meeting this afternoon. Jason, what can you tell us?
Well, call it damage control, call it a search for common ground, call it what you will, but the meeting called by State Workforce Director Bill Walker was his opportunity to explain an unpopular hiring decision. Prominent members of Arkansas's deaf community arrived to meet with State Agency Director Bill Walker. A legislative committee hearing last week failed to quell their concerns over the state's hiring of a sign language interpreter who lacks national certification. Many in the deaf community question the ability of the woman hired, including State Representative John Burris, who asked this question at that hearing.
Could she be at the front of this meeting signing, communicating with the people in the audience? Okay. Thank you.
You heard Director Walker's answer and heard how many of the deaf people in the audience that day disagreed with Walker's assessment. What you won't hear is how Director Walker tried to share his support and confidence in this hire in his Monday meeting with some of those same people. We weren't invited. The meeting lasted over 3 hours, and those in attendance left without offering public comment afterwards. But after visiting with one person in attendance by phone, it is clear the same person with the same qualifications will remain in the same position. So what will change? Possibly the job description that allowed this hire to happen in the first place. And Mr. Walker says he will write an open letter to the deaf community in Arkansas this week.
And we know much of them are unhappy with this hire. We'll see how they respond to that. Jason, thanks very much.
Well, for the past 2 months, KATV has been reporting on the controversy surrounding the state's hire of an underqualified sign language interpreter. There is a major development in that situation today. 7 on your side, Jason Peterson joins us to share what it is. You've been on the story for quite a while now.
Yeah, and after complaints from Arkansas's deaf community and even national organizations, the woman hired as an interpreter has a new job title as of today, Vocational Placement Rehab Specialist. Same pay, about $35,000, and hopefully she won't have to return to college to learn how to do this job. When a sign language interpreter hired by the state was going back to school to take sign language classes, we asked Career Education Director Bill Walker why. This candidate already beat out 6 people with national certification. Why seek the certification now?
Well, because we don't limit it to certification only. We made a decision based on the totality of the issue.
For 2 months, Director Walker has defended the hire, but in a statement released Friday, he now says, "I believe that I made a mistake in hiring her for the interpreter position." Representative Brian King had this to say about Director Walker's announcement. "I will work to raise the qualifications for those hired as interpreters so that this doesn't happen again. Director Walker and Mr. Trevino's management did not serve the deaf community or the people of Arkansas." Dr. Glenn Anderson, a UALR professor and deaf Arkansan, states that he hopes the state will now move forward with filling the interpreter position with a qualified individual. Deaf and hard of hearing people deserve access to well-qualified and skilled interpreters. Now, throughout this controversy, KATV has made the decision not to name the interpreter, deciding that the responsibility for her hiring rested more with Director Walker as head of the agency. There are those in the deaf community, however, who disagree, saying she should not have accepted a job that she was not qualified to do.
Clearly 2 sides to this story, and one that we may continue to follow. Thank you for your work, Jason.
It is an unusual partnership. The Arkansas Department of Correction teaming up with animal shelters and rescue organizations for a program called Paws in Prison to help keep dogs from being euthanized. Heather Crawford visited a prison to see how it works, and she joins us now with what she found out. And it is an interesting concept, to say the least.
It really is. You know, walking into prison, I expected to see these hardened criminals, and I was surprised to see these big, burly guys letting dogs lick them all over their face. It's really a unique program, and it's not only saving the dogs' lives, it's transforming many of the inmates' lives, hopefully helping them become more productive citizens once they are released from prison. And it's not costing taxpayers a dime.
No. No, sir.
For more than 3 decades, Charles Couch has been locked up in prison, convicted of what he describes as a crime of passion.
I caught my wife and another man together, and I killed them both. And that was 33 years ago almost.
He was sentenced to life without parole. Now almost 60 years old, he says he is a new man, thanks in large part to a companion you typically don't see in prison, a companion named Honey.
She taught me, I don't know, to love again, I guess. I guess you could say that.
Wait. Take it. Take it. Yeah. Leave it. Yes.
Couch is one of hundreds of inmates who applied to participate in the Paul's in Prison program at Washita River Correctional Unit in Malvern. He and about a dozen others were hand-selected because of good behavior while behind bars.
Good job.
Each week, trainer Carrie Kessler comes to the unit to work with the inmates and teach them how to train these pups.
What we do is we go into shelters, mostly high-kill shelters, around the state, and find dogs with good temperaments. We pull those dogs, we have them vetted, we make sure they're healthy. They then come into the prison units where they're paired with 2 trainers, and those trainers spend 6 to 8 weeks with the dog, training them.
Without this program, dogs like Pepper would likely be euthanized, and that's something the inmates realize and work hard to train them so that they can be adopted.
When they come to us, they're getting a second chance. When they go to their new owner, we call it getting paroled, getting clemency. And they got their second chance in life.
From house training to teaching them basic obedience and beginning agility, the inmates work with the canines around the clock. They live right in the barracks with the prisoners. Honey is the 3rd dog Couch has trained since the program began in the Arkansas Department of Correction in December.
Now, I've done something with Honey that I haven't done, didn't let the other 2 do. I'm letting Honey get in the bed with. I know. Honey, she'll stay at the foot of the bed. If she starts to get in the middle of the bed, you just nudge her with your foot, point, and she'll go right back where she's supposed to be.
Many of the inmate trainers, like William Bentley, who is serving time for aggravated robbery, admit that while they are teaching the dogs skills, the dogs are teaching them invaluable lessons to help them reacclimate to the outside world when they are released.
Patience. He taught me patience and responsibility because I'm not used to having to take care of anything or anybody else other than myself. And on the streets, my mom was taking care of me, so, they taught me how to take care of something other than me. I guess I was kind of like antisocial. And like having him make me kind of be more social-like because everybody want to pet the dog, everybody want to rub him, and everybody want to see him, and they want to talk to him. I have to deal with them also.
It really means, these dogs, they're dependent on us, so it gives me more responsibility. It's helping me to be, to get to myself to get ready for whenever I get out.
But I can see them developing self-confidence in themselves, a sense of accomplishment in being able to do something to give back to the community.
Assistant Warden Jeremy Andrews, who was skeptical of the program at first, says the impact it has had on his unit has been remarkable. It's not only boosted the morale of inmates and staff, he's also seen a drop in violence.
It's improved greatly. The numbers as far as grievances and different things within the department have actually gone down.
I guess I used to get in a lot of trouble. Now I don't want to get in any. I try my best to stay away from all of it because you get in any trouble, you can't have a dog. Then I see other guys that get in trouble or used to get in trouble. Now they trying to keep a clean slate. Now they want to sign up, try to get a dog eventually. And they know you have to be out of trouble to get that.
Stay.
And while these dogs are getting a second chance at life, so are the inmates themselves.
Many of them have an interest now in finding a career with dogs or working with animals. And there's something about the compassion that they've learned and that they're able to express through this program that I truly believe they're going to be better people.
As for Charles Couch, saying goodbye to his good friend Honey once she graduates from the program won't be easy. But he takes comfort in knowing she will go to a good home.
Friendliness, compassion, I would put all those words together, That's what the dog has taught us. And bringing it back to the dog itself, we're saving their lives. And that's probably the most important thing of all. We're saving the dog's life.
And most of the dogs that you saw in our story are still available for adoption, and foster families are also needed. We've posted more information with links on how you can adopt one on our website, KATV.com.
Yeah, a heartwarming story, and certainly it seems to be very effective. You mentioned at the first of the piece, though, taxpayers not paying a dime for this. So
no.
how's it being paid for?
solely on private donations. It costs on average about $350 to train one of these dogs. Right now the program is in 5 Arkansas Department of Correction prisons, but to keep the program going, the department says that it does need the public support, but right now solely funded on private donations. So it really was an interesting experience to go into the prison and see how it's working and what it's doing. It's a huge impact that seems to be having a ripple effect.
Yeah, we hope it continues to have an effect after some of those prisoners get out. Heather, thanks very much. Well, hundreds of wildlife enthusiasts have flocked to a small lake in Saline County over the last few days.
They're here because a bird that's never been recorded in Arkansas has appeared in Alexander. Roger Suzanne joins us now with more on a story. It's pretty cool.
It is very cool indeed, Beth. And birders from around the country say this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's happening right here in Arkansas. There's a strange sight with a strange name currently flying through Arkansas skies. This brown booby is a long way from home, but she's currently living here in Saline County.
This is a first, and especially for our little private lake out here.
Jamie Peach lives along Lake Norrell and was one of the first people to spot her. But apparently bird watchers of a feather flock together.
Houston, we've had Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, all over Arkansas.
But before you call them a bunch of bird brains, keep in mind that brown boobies normally live in the eastern Caribbean. This is the first time one has been spotted in Arkansas. It's caused the birders to go berserk. Was it worth the trip?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this could be a once in a lifetime. And to see it in Arkansas where it absolutely doesn't belong is a fascinating thing.
The locals here say their new feathered friend fits right in. They named her Ralph before they figured out, she's actually a girl. They say she loves the weather here, and she even enjoys the same music that Jamie does.
Wasting away again in Margaritaville.
She's a parrot head. Yeah, Scott put on some Jimmy Buffett the other day, and that was the one she first come flying in. Yeah.
And like her former Caribbean neighbor, Ralph seems to bask in the glow of her newfound feathered fame.
We were worried that, we shouldn't get too close to it, and then Ralph came to us. So then we kind of knew that Ralph enjoyed the attention, and the more people, the happier Ralph seems to be.
No one knows exactly why Ralph winged her way to Arkansas or how long she'll stay. But it's clear that as long as she's here, she'll have a feverish flock of fans.
She's been a lot of fun out here. She's kind of broken up the boring kind of summer heat that we've been having and gave us something new to do.
And now Ralph's appearance has definitely been a lot of fun, but we should point out that some experts are concerned because brown boobies are not cut out for Arkansas winter. So Scott, hopefully she will migrate eventually, but a lot of fun for right now.
Well, and you don't have to be a bird watcher to know Ralph looks a little out of place. That's not what you see every day in Arkansas for sure.
Kind of like Toucan Sam a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
And who knew the brown booby likes Buffett?
Everyone does, right?
Jimmy Buffett. Yeah, very good. Thanks very much.
Roger.
Live from the River Market in downtown Little Rock, this is Channel 7 News Live at 5.
Curtis Reese Jr. is back behind bars after a 3.5-day search that ended today in Cleburne County. Thanks for watching tonight. I'm Beth Hunt.
And I'm Scott Inman. Reese was found hiding in a cave in the McJester community and arrested this morning. Channel 7's Matt Johnson is live where it all went down with details. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Scott. Well, Curtis Reese Jr. is finally going back to prison after being caught in a cave just behind that tree line behind me. But it's not the one he broke out of where he's being sent back. He's going to be sent to the Varner Supermax facility, the most guarded in the state. And after a massive manhunt, authorities are relieved. Curtis Reese Jr. may have been on the run for 3.5 days, but today he walked back into the arms of the law.
The look on his face said it all. He's just done. He's defeated.
U.S. Marshals, ADC, and state police led the early morning search that turned up the convicted killer in the McJester area of Cleburne County.
We knew that the suspect was hunkered down somewhere behind us on this ravine, and so this was our target area.
Authorities say Reese had some outside help who drove him here, and when they fessed up, it wasn't long before Reese was back in handcuffs.
The suspects did in fact lie to law enforcement at the beginning, and finally came clean and gave us the information that we needed.
The dogs and the helicopters and the hundreds of law enforcement have all headed home, glad they caught their guy.
Local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, when we get together, we can pretty much get things done quickly. and that's exactly what happened here.
Now it's expected that authorities are going to charge the other people who they believe helped Reese escape, and they actually believe that he was driven here. Now Reese is also facing more charges himself, most likely second-degree escape, which will bring 10 more years to his already 40 years he was serving in prison. Scott, back to you.
Wow. Matt, a lot of action in a small place like McJester. What are residents saying there about what all happened today?
Well, they're pretty shocked, as you could imagine. They were woke up around 8:30 this morning with SWAT team everywhere, helicopters in the sky, but they're all relieved. They had no idea he was in the area, but, you know, they're very thankful he is back behind bars. Scott.
As we are, and the rest of our viewing areas as well. Matt Johnson live tonight. Thanks very much for the reports. Some developing news into our station tonight. Little Rock bomb squads are at the Clinton National Airport working to x-ray a suspicious package.
That's right. The package caught the attention of a bomb-sniffing dog less than 1 hour ago. Channel 7's Janelle Lilly is there live. And Janelle, what can you tell us about what's happening?
Well, Beth and Scott, all of this information is just coming in. We're actually going to have a press conference in about 2 minutes. For now, what I can tell you is that this airport is closed. You only need to see the line of people standing outside of the building right now to see that there's going to be a lot of people missing flights and connections, and a lot of folks whose bags just aren't coming in. As you said, this all started when an ATF dog caught a sniff of a suspicious bag. The man that owns that piece of luggage, we're told, missed his flight into Little Rock and is in Dallas at this point. We don't know yet if there's anything actually inside of the bag, but that's what the bomb squad is looking to determine right now. I just got off the phone minutes ago with the bomb squad, and they told me that they've already x-rayed one panel of that bag and are reading that x-ray as we speak. They expect to bring one more x-ray machine in, get the other side of it, and that result should be in within the next 10 minutes. They'll be able to see what they're dealing with, and then they're going to make a plan from there. I just asked the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport spokesperson when we can expect this airport to reopen, and they said as of right now there is no timetable on that. It's going to be closed until they can determine exactly what is inside this package. And of course, we're going to have more updates for you. A lot of stranded passengers here. Back to you guys.
That's right. Maybe a long wait for them tonight. Janelle Lilly reporting live in Little Rock. Thank you.
Updating a story we told you about yesterday on Live at 5. A suspect who led police on a chase through 2 counties is now in police custody. Officers finding 39-year-old Africa Wells this afternoon in Blytheville. Formal charges are pending. After a brief break for Superstorm Sandy, the presidential race is back in full force today. Both President Obama and Mitt Romney charging into battleground states. Romney is spending the entire day in Virginia, and Mr. Obama is in Wisconsin and also planning to be in Ohio and Iowa. With the two men in a dead heat in the national polls, the candidates' schedules for the last 5 days of the campaign might be the best way to show where the race really stands.
We'll win Wisconsin again. We'll win this election. And together we'll renew those bonds and reaffirm that spirit that makes the United States of America the greatest nation on earth.
You know the consequence of what this election means. You have full hearts. And we can't lose. We need you, Virginia. We've got to take back America. I'm counting on you.
For both candidates, the next 5 days are going to be around-the-clock campaigning and an intense sprint to the finish line. Just 5 days left until Election Day, and more than 295,000 Arkansans have already cast ballots. Early voting goes through Monday, and of course the general election is Tuesday, November 6th.
School administrators in one Jefferson County district are trying to stem a small mono outbreak. Doctors have confirmed more than a dozen cases of mononucleosis amongst Whitehall School District students recently. The Department of Health says the spread of the virus serves as a reminder that students should make sure to wash their hands frequently, refrain from sharing drinks or eating utensils, and to make sure to always cough into their sleeve. Superintendent Larry Smith even sent out a letter reminding parents to do everything they can to keep their kids healthy.
The parents need to be aware of those symptoms and those signs, and making sure that they're looking for that to make sure their kids are going to be safe.
The Department of Health also warns that parents should keep their child home if they have a temperature of 105 or higher.
As we enter November and into the winter months, we want to let you know about our coat drive happening again this year. We're teaming up with Hangers Cleaners to collect warm jackets for the needy. Last year, more than 3,000 donated coats were brought in through the Coats for Kids program, and this year we're hoping to bring in 5,000 coats.
Arkansas is beautiful. We had a number of schools that picked it up as their school project, collecting coats. We had some great kids that had birthday parties that had their friends bring coats instead of a present. And just our customers and people in Arkansas just donated a lot of coats.
And it's not just for kids. You can bring any size coat to drop off at any Hangers location, and the program runs until December 1st.
The State Game and Fish Commission says it's putting 17 new wildlife officers into the field. The Arkansas agency says the cadets will be spread among 17 counties after completing more than 700 hours of training.
Still to come on Live at 5 when it comes to punishing your children. Where do you draw the line? Tonight, Joan Early with a closer look at a controversial topic. It's been around for a long time, to spank or not to spank.
But first, still looking for big changes in the weather this weekend. Barry will let you know when colder air arrives, coming up after the break. Stay with us. You're watching Channel 7 News Live at 5 from the River Market.
Channel 7 News Live at 5, brought to you by UAMS, Everett Buick GMC, and by USA Drug. Skycams, sponsored by Middleton Heat and Air. From the weather team with the most experience, this is Channel 7 meteorologist Barry Brandt.
And we have a young man right here in the River Market tonight. And what is your name?
Blaine.
Blaine. Blaine, are you having fun? Yeah, it's a nice day, isn't it? Did you go trick-or-treating last night?
Yes.
You did. What did you dress up as?
A transformer.
A transformer. Very nice. Did you get some candy? Uh-huh. Yeah, me too. Go home and eat some candy. Thanks for talking with me today. Thanks for being on here. Boy, what a great day in the River Market. This is a fantastic night. More of this dry weather, a little bit warmer today. Now, come the weekend, cooler air is going to come back into the forecast. Let's take a look at the month that was in October. Certainly a nice month. Oh, it's been good. How good? Well, finally, we finished a month with a below normal average temperature. The last time that happened was a year ago in October. Now, we got close in August and September, but this was the first month that was below average, and it actually was quite a bit below average, so it was a nice October. As far as November is concerned, well, we start the month where we typically have temperatures like today of 69 degrees. That's the average high, but by the end of the month, look what our average high will be, only 57 degrees. This is the month that we really cool down. Boy, it's been some great sunrises and sunsets with just a few scattered high clouds, and this one was sent in to us from Lake Balboa in Hot Springs Village. Myra Key sent that in to photo@katv.com. You can send your great photos in there as well. Tonight's going to be another stellar one. There will be a few scattered clouds tomorrow in that northwesterly flow aloft. Here's the setup in the atmosphere now. We see warm air blowing up in advance of the front that will come down and touch our state, but the weekend rainmaker is still well out to the west. That's the one that's coming through this weekend, and it will really take us on a roller coaster ride from 80 and then the low 80s on Saturday back to the 60s for Sunday and Monday. Another one of these powerful fronts. This one doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with, though, so I'm going to say a small chance in the afternoon and evening on Saturday, and then early Sunday morning before clearing back out. If you're headed to homecoming in Fayetteville, Hogs versus Tulsa, 64 degrees. The front will have already gone through there. It'll start to cool down during the game. Only an isolated shower possible, not a good chance of rain. Our Middleton sky cam is beautiful, looking over the River Market here. Right now, 70 degrees in Little Rock, down just a little from our daytime high. South wind at 6 miles an hour. Now look at where the warm area is. Almost 80 at DeQueen, but 66 at Jonesboro. So the warmer air is kind of overspreading the state from the southwest. Futurecast says that we stay on the south side of the front primarily for the next 24 hours. Now, there's the start of high school football games tomorrow night. I know there are a few tonight, too. But then the front begins to enter the state. 11 o'clock Saturday morning, it will have gone through Fayetteville, but not through here, so that's why it'll be so warm. And then the front moves on down through the state with scattered showers later in the day on Saturday. Tonight's forecast, mostly clear, not as cool, a low of 50, and it'll be in the 60s, well into the 60s if you go to a high school football game tonight. Tomorrow, up to 80. Not quite record territory, but not far from it. And we'll have a mostly sunny sky. And then that rain chance and the sharp drop-off in temperature from Saturday late into Sunday morning. In fact, Saturday night it'll start to turn a little bit cooler. You ready for some more good 60-plus degree weather? There it is next week. Scott and Beth.
Okay, Barry, thanks so much.
Next on Live at 5, how do you discipline your kids? There's a growing anti-spanking movement in this country to punish parents who spank their kids. So how does it affect you and your family? Joan Early has the story coming up.
And later, maintaining weight loss. Why is it that most dieters tend to gain all of the weight back after working so hard to lose it? Well, a new study shedding some light on why it happens and what you can do about it. We'll be right back.
Winner of the Emmy Award for Newscast. You're watching Channel 7 News live at 5 with Scott Inman, Beth Hunt, and meteorologist Barry Brandt.
To spank or not to spank? It's a question every parent has to decide. In the U.S., more than 90% of parents say they have spanked their children at least on occasion.
But as Joan Early tells us in today's Family First report, most experts say there are better choices when it comes to disciplining your children. And just recently, doctors in Canada began pushing for a national law to ban the spanking of children. At the same time, in Delaware, a bill was signed into law that can punish parents for spanking their own children. It appears that an anti-spanking movement is growing. So what does that mean for you and your family?
Just recently, a group of doctors in Canada began pushing for a law that would ban the spanking of children. At the same time, in the state of Delaware, a bill was just signed into law that could punish parents for spanking their own children. As this anti-spanking movement begins to gain ground, what does this mean for you and your family?
I'm quite capable of distinguishing the innocent from the troublemakers, miss. This one is a troublemaker, and I'll thank you for not interfering.
Spanking used to be such a normal part of family life, it wasn't unusual to even see it on popular television shows. But in the past 2 decades, study after study highlighting the negative effects corporal punishment can have on kids has made spanking less politically correct, even though most people we found support it.
I think sparing the rod is not a good deal. That's kind of the way I was raised. I don't believe that a child should be beat, but I think a swat on the rear end and tell him to sit there for 5 minutes and give him a timeout is a very good thing.
My father, he spanked me until I was 10, and he did it as a form of discipline, like a timeout, but just to show us how bad our punishment actually was, and never to do it again. And I think it's good for a child because it makes them learn that that really is wrong. And without it, I think that just timeout doesn't actually get the point across.
Yeah, I'm kind of old school with it. The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So you need to talk to your kids and find out what the problems are. And then, you know, if there's a problem that warrants spanking, yeah, you need to. That's what that backside is for back there.
For many, the decision to spank is rooted in religion. Dr. Matthew Pate, a criminologist, believes that's why it is still legal in many southern states to administer corporal punishment in school. Pate, who grew up in Whitehall, just published a book called Corporal Punishment Around the World. For 2 years, he researched the history, the use, and the effects of corporal punishment in different cultures. So, what is his advice for parents?
I'm not a parent, and so it might come as some, sort of armchair quarterbacking. But strictly as a person who has studied the history of corporal punishment across the globe, I would be very hesitant.
Arkansas is one of those states that allows corporal punishment in our schools. Guidelines differ from district to district, but parents are all given the opportunity to opt out of allowing their children to be spanked at school. Cabot Superintendent Dr. Tony Thurman oversees more than 10,000 students in 15 different schools. So far this year, administrators in his district have used corporal punishment 15 times. He says it is never done without talking to the parents first.
It's a last resort. It's not a first option. And it's after we've tried other means of changing the behaviors. And typically it's with the parent saying, look, we've tried everything else, and that discussion happening between the administrator and the teacher and the parent.
For most kids, Thurman says just the threat of being paddled at school is a deterrent. So does the same threat work at home? Dr. Nicholas Long, Director of Pediatric Psychology at Arkansas Children's Hospital, cautions parents against spanking. He says parents who hit their children open their families up to several risks.
What happens over time is that you have to spank harder and more frequently to have the same effect. And most parents don't set out to abuse their kids. They just kind of take spanking or whatever corporal punishment they were using, and it just escalates as they lose their temper and it gets out of hand.
When used correctly, Long says options like timeout, taking away privileges, and severe grounding are more effective than spanking and less damaging.
What parents really need to do is try to anticipate problems. We can't anticipate all the issues we're going to have with our children, but when they're in that moment where they have to intervene with their child, if they've thought about some other things other than spanking, they may be more likely to use those approaches that, again, can be just as effective.
No matter how you decide to discipline your children, Dr. Long suggests making it a point to praise your children when they're being good and when they're not being good. He says you should try to calmly discipline them without anger or frustration. Joan Early, Channel 7 News.
Thank you, Joan. Well, we all know there are a slew of diets out there that make various claims to take off the excess pounds.
I think I've tried just about every one of them. Maybe you have too. The challenge, however, is keeping the weight off, and researchers now suggest a different approach. We're going to explain it next. You can lose weight on almost any diet if you follow the weight loss program. Researchers say that after the weight comes off, people tend to stop practicing the changes they made while dieting, such as healthy eating, exercising, or logging what they eat. Studies showed that within the first year after stopping a diet program, people put back on up to 50% of the weight loss. Researchers wanted to know if learning how to maintain weight before starting a diet would make a difference. So they studied 267 overweight and obese women who met for 28 weeks. One group spent the first 8 weeks learning maintenance skills. The other focused on losing weight and spent the last 8 weeks learning how to keep it off. At the end of the 28-week program, women in both groups had lost about 17 pounds. 1 year later, the maintenance first group had regained an average of only 3 pounds, while the women who lost weight first regained 7 pounds. So you may be more successful maintaining that new look if you know how to keep the pounds off before you actually start losing it.
The price of crude oil was up 85 cents a barrel today to close at 87.09.
The stock market posted gains. The Dow was up 136 points, closing at 13,232. The Nasdaq was up 42. We'll be right back. We have some updated information from the Clinton National Airport officials telling us X-rays have come back on that suspicious package, and they tell our Janelle Lilly that the airport will open back up in the next few minutes. Janelle Lilly will, of course, have more coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. And new details emerge in the death of roller rink owner Larry Billings. Channel 7's Catherine Yancey has a live report in a half hour. And Matt Johnson continues coverage of the capture of Curtis Reese Jr. He joins us now with a preview. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Beth. Well, at 6, we're going to look a little bit deeper about the spot where Reese may have been hiding. We took a trip about 20 minutes from here into one of the caves that had some supplies in it that may have belonged to him, actually. And we caught up with a man who was actually confused for Reese this morning and actually had some guns pointed at him, but actually ended up helping authorities find Reese. So we're going to have a lot more for you at 6 o'clock about the capture of Curtis Reese. Beth.
I just heard yes, power.
Okay, Matt Johnson, thanks so much. We'll see you at 6 o'clock.
And that's going to do it for us today on Live at 5 from the River Market. Thanks again for watching.
We'll, of course, have more Arkansas news in 30 minutes following World News with Diane Sawyer. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.